The Chautauqua Lake Watershed, the most valuable natural, cultural, and economic asset of our region. Flowing water, the lifeblood of our planet. All fresh water, whether in the form of dew, a rushing stream, or a refreshing drink from your tap, started in a cloud as rain or snow. When precipitation hits the ground, gravity keeps it flowing downward, running off, soaking in, and eventually spilling into a lake or a stream. And what do you think a watershed is?
I'm Mark Baldwin. I'm Director of Education at the Roger Torrey Peterson Institute of Natural History. Behind me here, we've got a great view of Chautauqua Lake itself and also the watershed that Chautauqua Lake occupies. A watershed is the valley or basin that surrounds a body of water. So you can see back there on the hillside going all the way to the horizon is land over which snow, rain, any kind of precipitation will eventually end up in Chautauqua Lake. And that's the reason that it's so important for us to understand what a watershed is, because what we do in the watershed has a direct impact on the quality of the water in the lake.
The Chautauqua watershed covers an area of over 176 square miles, including the lake, which only covers 20 square miles. Every hour, on average, 10 million gallons of water flushes out of the lake and into its only outlet, the Chautauqua River. It then flows through the city of Jamestown on the start of a 2,000-mile journey downhill to the Gulf of Mexico. The same water that sustains the fish, birds, and other wildlife also sustains people and their economies over the entire length of the Allegheny, Ohio, and Mississippi River system. And it starts here, the top of the hill, the headwaters of the Great Mississippi. Before even reaching Chautauqua Lake, the millions of gallons of water flow over, around, and through thousands of households and businesses in our community. Across Chautauqua County, hundreds of miles of roads form a transportation network that dumps thousands of gallons of stormwater into the lake via ditches and conduits. This runoff contains oils, sediments, and hundreds of tons of road salt annually. Construction sites that expose bare soil to erosion result in topsoil entering the lake every time it rains.
And so if you add a lot of sediment, you're adding substrate, lake bottom, that's kind of mucky, that is going to support a lot of plant growth, which we don't want to see a lot of the invasive species taking over in those areas. And with that soil comes a lot of nutrients, and that's going to feed algae as well as plant growth.
Shoreline erosion is another problem, caused and worsened by artificially armoring the shore with concrete walls. The effect of such break walls is to reflect and multiply the erosive power of waves and cause adjacent shorelines to degrade even more rapidly. One of the most damaging pollutants in the Chautauqua watershed is actually a nutrient called phosphorus. Phosphorus comes from many sources, including lawn and garden fertilizers, soil erosion, and dishwashing detergents. Agriculture is also a significant contributor of nutrients to streams and the lake. When wastewater runs down our drains and through septic or municipal wastewater treatment systems, it carries phosphorus along with it. Even though the wastewater goes through the treatment plant, only some of the phosphorus can be removed. The rest goes into the lake. That leads us to one of the key challenges of the Chautauqua watershed: nuisance aquatic plants and algae growing in the lake.
If people can't swim, boat, fish, and enjoy other water-related activities due to excessive levels of weeds and algae, everyone will suffer financially and in terms of their quality of life.
I think it's important to realize that harvesting takes a toll too. There are organisms that come on board the boats. There are organisms taken out of the lake with the harvested weeds, including small fish, by the way. So any kind of vegetation control has its impact on the ecosystem. The problem for humans, the challenge for humans, is to pick one or pick several and decide how you're going to manage the lake ecosystem for the benefit of not only humans, but for the organisms, plant and animal, that live in the lake.
Fortunately, several organizations and hundreds of citizens around Chautauqua County are working together to meet these challenges. The 9-member Chautauqua Lake Management Commission is an award-winning collaboration of private, nonprofit, and government agencies dedicated to ensuring the present and future ecological health and well-being of the Chautauqua watershed. Their mission is to create, implement, and monitor a comprehensive lake and watershed management plan. The plan includes immediate actions as well as long-range strategies to restore, protect, and enhance the health, ecology, and many uses of Chautauqua Lake and its watershed. Municipalities are working with the Soil and Water Conservation District to implement best management practices in road maintenance, such as hydroseeding ditches to prevent soil erosion. Many farmers within the watershed are already implementing best management practices. They are working with the Soil and Water Conservation District through the Agricultural Environmental Management Program to reduce the impacts associated with some farm practices. The banks of Goose Creek, a major tributary of Chautauqua Lake, has been planted with fast-growing willow trees, the roots of which bind the soil and prevent plumes of stormwater-driven mud from entering the lake.
The Chautauqua Lake Association has as its focus everything in the lake from the shoreline into the lake. The Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy is concerned about everything from the shoreline back up into the watershed. Both groups are essential to the health of the lake and must continue to work together. For every square mile of lake surface, there are 8.5 square miles up in the watershed. So what happens in the watershed is vitally important to what happens in the lake. So why is it important to conserve land along the lake? It is the last buffer zone for runoff toward the lake, and it helps to filter out nutrients and siltation before it enters the lake and feeds the weeds that we all talk about so much.
Nobody wants to go visit a mud hole, a huge lake that's filled in with algae, for example. And one of the best ways to preserve the beauty, the condition of the lake as a whole for tourism and for our enjoyment, is to preserve the natural settings around the lake that help to preserve it that way. By losing those, we lose those natural filtration and preservation mechanisms that are in place around a lake. And so if we really want to continue to enjoy the beauty of Chautauqua Lake, we have to take care of it.
I'm Lyle Hoydu, Chairman of the Chautauqua Lake Management Commission. Ultimately, lake and watershed management is a responsibility of everyone, including property owners, recreational users, and local municipalities. We must all work together to conserve this natural resource for our children and future generations. Our success depends on our ability to resolve conflicts and achieve common goals. By understanding the connection between our use of land in the watershed and the resultant impacts it has on our streams and lakes, we can change our community for the better.
All agree that a healthy lake relies on a healthy watershed, and that the watershed's ecological well-being directly affects the economic well-being of our entire region.
As a business owner on Chautauqua Lake, I understand just how important it really is to keep this lake as natural and as beautiful as it already is. And to be honest with you, every person who lives on this lake and owns a business on this lake and also visits this lake, it's this lake that is important to everybody who comes to this area.
We understand the problems. Now it is time for us to solve them through real and permanent change. So as you consider your role in the watershed, ask yourself this question: What can I do for Chautauqua Lake and its watershed?
Watershed stewardship is about people becoming informed and taking responsibility for the quality of our local waterways. Here are several ways you can help. Use phosphate-free detergent in your automatic dishwasher. Garden and landscape with plants that are native to our region. They require less maintenance and fertilizer to succeed. If your property borders a stream bank or shoreline, your responsibility to be a good watershed steward is even greater. You're on the front lines. Allow an attractive natural buffer to grow along the waterway. It will control erosion, filter runoff, and provide habitat for fish, birds, and other wildlife. Don't waste water. Make every drop count. Install low-flow fixtures and fix leaky faucets. You will be conserving water and saving money. Slow it down, spread it out, and soak it in. Reduce runoff by redirecting downspouts, reducing impervious surfaces, and installing rain barrels or planting a rain garden. A beautiful solution to runoff pollution. Make the connection. Most storm drains lead directly into our waterways, so properly dispose of hazardous household materials. Never put them down a storm drain. Be a pooper scooper. Pet waste left on roadsides and sidewalks can get washed into our lakes and streams. Control erosion. Soil that gets washed into our waterways blocks out sunlight, smothers essential spawning and nesting grounds, and increases drinking water treatment costs. While tourists annually spend over $70 million enjoying our lakes and waterways, the true value of Chautauqua Lake is priceless. The runoff of nutrients and sedimentation from human activities in the watershed now exceeds the lake's natural capacity to dilute and purify. Nature can no longer correct the problem. Join an organization that promotes watershed health as a priority in our homes and communities. Chautauqua Lake needs your help. To get involved, contact one of our watershed partners at www.planningschautauqua.com or call 716-661-8915. The health of our economy and our quality of life depends on how we treat our waterways.